We call Ramachandra Prabhu and Sita Matalli with many different names. For example, Rama, Sri Rama, Abhirama, Dasharathi, Raghava, Sitapati, Ramabhadra, Ramachandra, Rajivalochana, Purushottama, Raghunandana, Kodandapani are the names for the Ramachandra Prabhu. And then Sita Matalli have Sita, Janaki, Maithili, Vaidehi, Rama, Raghava, Priya, Avanitanaya, Bhumija. These are the names for Sita Matalli. Similarly, um, if you see the Parameshwara and Jagannatha, they have also, we call them as well with many different names like Siva, Ishvara, Maheshwara, Mahadeva, Shankara, Viswanatha, Shambhu, Rudra, Hara, Trilochana, Nilakanta, Nagabhushana are the names for that Parameshwara. And then Parvati, Shakti, Maheshwari, Bhavani, Katyayani, Gauri, Narayani, Shankari, Shivani, Uma, Durga, Annapurna are the names of Jagannatha Parvati. And if you see Lalita Sahasranama or Vishnu Sahasranama, they have so many different names. These are like they arrive these names based on their characteristics, achievements, or from the lineage they belongs to, and so many other aspects. They basically describe that person completely. And if that is the case, why not you and me? And then the places we live around, why can't they have multiple names? So this is my second talk as part of the Steps to Reform India series, and today is March 20th, 2024. My name is Karunakar Marsakatla. Let's go into the talk, and then if you want to see the first talk I gave is on the phonetically correct representation of words in native languages. That's already out there. You can watch that one. This is the second talk. And what we are going to cover is we'll see what is the issue, and then we see how the names of people evolve over time, and then names of places, how they evolve over time, and then I present a case, number of reasons why we need to have multiple names. And then if we do have multiple names, what are the advantages? We go into that. And then the issue is people and places evolve over time, and one single name doesn't describe the wholeness of that entity. So allowing to have multiple names for people and places makes it easy to understand and express the nature of these entities. So if we look at the evolution of people names, one aspect we can see is that the title they achieve, they get, changes their name. For example, we can look at the Mukunda Lal Ghosh became Swami Yogananda after initiated into the monastic order. So later, he was known to the world as Paramahamsa Yogananda after his guru Swami Yukteswar Giri conferring the title of Paramahamsa. So that became part of his name. Yogananda is that monastic order name, and then before it was Swami, and then later it became Paramahamsa. So likewise, any honor they receive will become part of their name. Like in a town, if only one person receives a Padma Shri or some Padma, any Padma award, people just call like, oh, Padma Shri is coming to this event or something like that. So the honor becomes part of their name, and it should be easy to represent that person using that honor. So just without having multiple names to represent a person name, that is not possible. And then you can see how the names gets evolved over time. Everybody knows Tenali Ramakrishna. Who was a Telugu poet in royal court of Krishna Deva Raya of Vijayanagara Empire, acquired his last name from his native place. So is from from internet, I found that like his original last name was Garlapati. Probably not in AST format. Probably it's a PA with hyphen party. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that is the spelling we get for his last name from the sources. But widely, he was known as Tenali Ramakrishna because he came from Tenali place, went to Vijayanagar Empire and stayed in that Krishnadevaraya court, and he wrote so many literary works. So that's how things get names or surnames or whatever you call surname or last names. They get evolved over time with many different reasons, and some last names don't have any meaning because they evolved over time, or some people might not like their first name, whatever the parents given, whatever the name, and then the last name also they might not like it. So at that time they could easily add new names to their name by still keeping the old names. So if we allow maybe like 10 20 names for a person, each name can be added into that list of names. So that makes it so meaningful names they could um, keep for themselves. And then there are other instances where it is common to name a child with multiple names, one each by grandfather calls the kid with one name, grandmother calls with one name, mother and father, they have their own name. Like it's rare, but like it happens sometimes. So if you add the last name, for example, some name, and then Siva Ramakrishna Prasad, that's very long name. Instead of making it like that, we can still keep those names, but split them into different names, and then so that way it's easy to enter into the records. So in some cases, based on horoscope, also people name their child with multiple names, like some XYZ last name, then Pinakadara Venkata Sheshkala. So like that, some people name it like it's a very lengthy name. If you see on the basis of horoscope, Janma Nakshatra, and all those things, the name becomes too long. In some other cases, like similarly, maybe combined with the first and second case, some people have very too long name, and none of the computer records will be able to record that name. So what they do, they kind of abbreviate the name and then write the last name. So that looks very awkward way of representing a name. Instead of that, whatever the K is, whatever V, so instead of all this abbreviation, each name should be written in the record, and then people call using any of those names. Instead of, it is better to enter all names for that individual in the records. And again, another case is if you look at as I presented my video, step one of this series, I presented a case to write place names or anything, any word of the native languages in the IAST format. If you choose IAST format, most of the names going to change. Um, Even my name is going to be changed because Karuna Kar. So the A will have hyphen on the top. So for if you like to take Soumya, so that name, even both Soumya and Sowmya will add another. So that becomes Saumya if we adopt to the IAST format. So that instead of changing their name, they could keep Soumya or Soumya, Soumya or Sowmya, and then add the Saumya to their list. So that way, so they could still keep their old name and then have a new name, and then they continue using the whatever that new name. Similar case with we write Lakshmi as Lakshmi, or some people write LAXMI. So these two will become LAKS, Shah, because there's a Shah dot on the down, and then MI. That becomes IAST format for the Lakshmi, and then they can just add this name to their list. So if you take the place names evolve over time due to the following reasons. So original Sanskritam name will remain the same. So there won't be any, because Sanskritam is a very strict grammatical rules, and then the verbs, list of verbs are fixed, and then based on them the names gets derived. So it will never change. But when general public and uneducated people say the word, it gets distorted over time. Um, and ancient foreign travelers recorded the city names from what they heard in the public. Not they didn't look at the what is the actual name of that city. They just heard whatever the people say it, and then they recorded that one. Even the English people, when they came, recorded these names of these places from what they heard from the people, and altered it even further according to their pronunciation of that word. So extensive recording of these modified, altered names in print media, and then usage of computers, because once you enter the name, you have to enter it exactly the same, otherwise it can't search it. So usage of computers made it very difficult for the name to evolve any further. Natural evolution is we just stunted the natural evolution of the names by using the computers. In all these instances, we are missing the ancient, meaningful Sanskritam names. So that is the problem with the using the computers, and then having a limitation of only one name for people or cities. If you see the altered names, one example is there is a city called Etipotala city or town or small place. Etipotala in Palnadu district of Andhra Pradesh is an altered name of Yati Taposthali. In everyday use, these three words merged together and formed as Etipotala. People and uneducated people, when you ask them to say Etitapostali, they just mix them, it becomes Etipotala. But Etitapostali means a place where Yatis, the Rishis, did tapas. And there's a Dattatreya temple at that location, signifies the importance of this place. Rishis and Yatis did tapas. That much very ancient history is there to that place, and the name also beautifully explains, demonstrates that ancient history. But the name in general public became as Etipotala. But unfortunately, there is a meaning to Etipotala in Telugu as well. That is, Etipotala means like a lift and then drop the water, lift irrigation system in Telugu. So instead of lift irrigation system, there is a natural waterfall at that place on Chandravanka river. So that is the irony. So people call it Etipotala, but there's no Etipotala lift irrigation system in there. Instead of that, water falls from the top to down in a waterfall on that Chandravanka. So this is the best example to say limiting a place name to one word, one name, actually killing the beauty and history of that place. So if you allow multiple names, we can still keep Etipotala because that's how people keep calling the town. And then we can add another name, Etitapostali. So that way educated people will understand, oh, this has glorious history for this place. And then what happens is, because these are all these places are referred to ancient text with the Sanskrit name, and then we can easily correlate what the ancient Sanskrit text is talking about, which city. If you say Etipotala is not going to find in ancient text, but you will see at the Tapostali, but there is a correlation problem will happen. That's why we keep both the names, and then we know that that is the Eti Tapostali. Like two-word names, like a recent trend, like a reorganization of districts, in particularly in Telangana and AP. Some of the when they reorganize the districts, some districts have two major towns, and then they don't know which one to choose as the name of that district. So what they ended up doing is like they added the two names together, and then made the name too long. Like for example, there's a district name called Bhadradri Kottagudem. Um, so there are two biggest towns in that district called Bhadrachalam, where Sri Rama temple was there, Sita Ramula temple was there, and that's one of the biggest temple in southern India for Ramchandramurti and Sita Matalli. So that, and then there's a city called Kottagudem. So instead of putting a name, instead of deriving a name with two city names, add Bhadrachalam as the city district name, and then Kottagudem as the district name. People choose whatever the name they want when they are writing, and then that way there's no limitation of representing that name to one long name, meaningless long name. There's nothing like so when we name something, there has to be some kind of representation. What does that name represent? What is Bhadradri Kottagudem? There's no city called Bhadradri Kottagudem. So that's why we should keep all the names, multiple names for any entity. Um, and then, so for example, recently, because of that, some people, what happened is renamed these cities in recent history. Bangalore became Bengaluru, and Madras became Chennai, Bombay became Mumbai, Calcutta became Kolkata, Benares became Varanasi, Trivandrum became Thiruvananthapuram. So these are the recent changes in modern history to go back to the original names, and so and another example for recent conversion is a place called Rajamahendravaram in Andhra Pradesh on the banks of the Godavari River. The original name from internet, what I found is it was Rajamahendrapuram, and then people started saying it as Rajamahendravaram, and then later it has an alternate name of Rajamahendri, and then when English people came, they made it Rajamundry. So this is how the name of the city evolved over time. And then in 2015, AP government changed that name back to Rajamahendravaram. But so if we government needs to involve to change the name of each city, that is a laborious task. So instead of that, like central government take a decision to add multiple names, to allow multiple names to add to these place names, then we can easily add all those names for the Rajamahendravaram, and then people just give freedom to people to call whatever they want to call it. So that should be the case. Instead of changing one name at a time, central government should allow each city to have multiple names in the whole country. Some of the places awaiting the name change are so Mysore. So that came from Mahishuru. So that's a beautiful name, Mahishuru, and actually have a actual meaning in Sanskrit. So why not? So that also needs to be. People should start calling that as Mysuru if we allow them to have multiple names. So still we keep Mysuru, and then add that Mahishuru as well. So Warangal has a beautiful name called Orugallu. And then Musi River, I studied and lived for a long time in Hyderabad and crossed that river for a long time, but recently came to know that it has a different name, Muchkunda. Muchkunda has um, you see the story in Bhagavatam about Muchkunda, and then don't know how he got this river got related to that Muchkunda, but it has the original name of Muchkunda, and then that over time people started saying it got altered somewhere and shortened the name to just a Musi River. That's a sad thing. Similarly, Northeast India has some river called Sutlej River, but that was referred in ancient text as Shetadru River. So the beautiful name Shetadru just we just ignore. Like a lot of people, if you ask, maybe they don't even know what is the original name of that river, and then that's why to revive this ancient history, we should allow for the names to have multiple names. Another example is Etipotala has to go show its ancient history by adding another name, Etitapostali. So this is the case I'm trying to present here. So why we need to keep multiple names? The place will have at least one name with actual meaning that we can add that Sanskrit word to it. If we keep just the Sanskrit version of the name, that will again gets altered in public usage. If you like, as I said earlier, if you convert the name of Etipotala as Etitapostali, people go back and then still say uneducated people who can't say complex words, they go back saying Etipotala. So converting the names has no use. Instead, we add another name to the city and keep the old name as well. So that way, when somebody says Etipotala, oh, they are referring to Etitapostali. When somebody say Etitapostali, oh, we can understand that, oh, they are referring to Etipotala. So that way, we can keep all the history of that place. So foreigners will continue to distort that name when they say it. Like when you say Bengaluru got converted to Bengaluru, and then if a foreigner visits a city, he invariably says Bangalore. So that's how their pronunciation, like that's how they could pronounce it, that name. So that if you keep the Bangalore as well, like Bangalore, Banga, Lore, Lore. So that way it's easy for even foreigners to say that word. So that's why I'm proposing to keep all the versions of the previous names, then add whatever that old names are there as part of that city name. So other reasons include, so this is basically why it's happening, why we are keeping only one name, is because computer limitations. It cannot have a city name, multiple names for the city, and but same computers we can modify the code and then have the people and cities to have multiple names. Language itself evolves naturally over time. In Telugu language, Sanskrit won't evolve, but Telugu language keeps evolving, and they say with different names, and the same name gets altered into a different thing. So that also needs to get accommodated. Um, pronunciation of names will change with the language. People, again, if you see about people acquire new names and titles over time. So if some person moves to some other city, people call, oh, he came from this city, and then they started calling that city they associated that city with that name, and over time, just like Tenali Ramakrishna, that becomes their last name. We need to have facility to accommodate the changing nature of the society. So that's why I am proposing. Um, so I'm proposing to have for the people and names to have multiple names. Example for multiple names is So if you say Kanaka is the last name, Shiva Ramakrishna Prasad, the first name is the last name, surname, and then name 2 will be Shiva, name 3 will be Rama, name 4 will be Krishna, and the name 5 will be Prasad. In the same way, if you take a Varanasi, for the city names, name 1 will be Varanasi, name 2 will be Kashi, name 3 will be Benares, and then name 4 will be Banaras. So this way, because if you see the Benares in the university, that became famous with, popular with Benares spelling, and then changing that kind of takes away all that history. Um, so advantage of using multiple names for places. Benefits of multiple names include get your certificates printed with the name of your choice for the place. If you're living in a town and it has an old name, you go to the city and then get your birth certificate using that old name if you want to. And then school records, you could get the same thing with the school records as well. Some person might like one name, some person might like another name. So get whatever the name you want for that city. Maps gets printed with either modern or ancient names, so that's another advantage. And then see, to keep the history alive, we can name the airport with one name of the city, and then central bus stand with one name, railway station with another name of that city. That way people know that like it has a cherished history of long ancient times. Um, Most of the people feel pride in attaching themselves to the ancient history by using the old names. That's what, like, the people definitely use old names if we allow them to choose from that list. For advantages for the people, so even if we have multiple names, like 5 or 6 names, um, there's no problem, because now the Aadhaar number came in India that uniquely identifies a person, and then even if he has multiple names, that still identifies the same person. So municipal records hold multiple names against that Aadhaar number. So that way we know that this is the person having this many names. So at any time, any combination of 2 names out of these 5 names, any record like a school record or bank record or passport should have 2 names from that list. Um, so they don't have to match. They could keep changing one combination for a school, one combination for the bank, and then one combination of 2 names for a passport. They should have. There might be difficulties in implementing that, but this is just an idea I'm proposing. Like having that kind of facility gives some freedom to people to express themselves with the names of that choice. Any new name could be added to the list at any time, but deletion should not be allowed. So once you delete, like previous records won't have any identity to see who that person is. So and then there should be a maximum limit for the name, maybe like 10, 20 names should be allowed, and then people enter their 20 names against their Aadhaar number, and then for any record they use the combination of 2 names from that list. So that's what I'm trying to propose, to have a 2 names for people and places. That way we can go back to the rich history and then see what the names of those cities are, and then people could express themselves comfortably, instead of abbreviated names, or instead of the names they don't like. So they could change it if they don't like it, by still keeping the old names. And then the character, the words I wrote are in IAST format. I gave this in the first talk, and I made a mistake in the first talk. Anuswara, I put the dot on the top, but from IAST format, the dot has to be on the downside here. So this is that you can see in the step 1 video, and then the other setup, the consonant from that character is, this is how you represent IAST characters. And thank you for listening to this talk.